Yes, twende kazi. It's
Ila
free flow Saturday episode number 40. This is what happens when you remove noise from your head. Oh, lives sijui nini. Life iko complex sijui. Ai. Eh? Says who?
uh,
Nani
it's
alisema
just
ni
a
complex?
button you need to press.
Hmm?
Yeah. Uh,
Otherwise, how's the week been?
week has been good.
Mm-hmm.
Been it's been okay. Yeah.
Mm.
We are still trying to push on business on this end.
Okay.
We've had a few
Mm.
promising prospects that we are following up.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a matter of waiting on those as we pursue others.
Sisi on our end is a
Mhm.
slow. We call it a slow trudge. Of course,
Mhm.
I think within this coming week we'll complete our battery upgrade from 2 kilowatts to 4.3. 4.3 will give us the capacity to go 100 kilometers. Uh,
Mhm.
and as per our calculations, worst case scenario, if the bike is carrying two people and a rider and a passenger, and let's say they both happen to be weighing 100 kgs, that means the bike is carrying 200 kilograms, it will get to guarantee 80 kilometers. That is worst case scenario. But normal duties, we are talking of 100 kilometers range. Uh, the next headache, I call it the headache, will be the hub motor. But we'll conquer it. That hub motor is going to be magical. We are looking at a torque of,
So mhm.
yes,
Go on.
you're saying?
Yeah, finish up, finish up. You're saying something.
That hub motor will have a torque of 200 Newton meters. To give you a picture of the issue of torque, if you look
Mhm.
at, for example, Isuzu FRR 90, that
Mhm.
Isuzu Canter that they use to transport Mutumba from Mombasa to upcountry, that Isuzu, that Canter has a torque of around 500, around 520 Newton meters. This bike will have a torque of 200 Newton meters. And imagine it's nearly
Hmm.
half that of
Wow.
a lorry.
Yeah, it's quite
Mm.
high.
That's
Lorry,
that's
and
quite
then you're putting
yes.
that much power on a
Uh,
two wheeler.
yes.
Mm.
So that's where the issue of programming comes in. It will have three settings: slow, normal, and cruise. Of course, we'll limit to 75 kilometers per hour. So
Mm.
we are not building a racing bike. We are building
Yeah,
a
it's more of a
transportation.
utility
Yes. And so
transportation.
if you are talking at what made me land on 4.3 kilowatts, because I saw
Mhm.
some, by the Indians are doing very well on electric bikes. They have so many
Mhm.
brands there because they manufacture everything locally.
Yeah, I
Because
just seen what was
everything that you
there
in
was
India,
something
you just
the
walk
other.
into a shop and you can even
Mhm.
buy from a factory in India. It's just so there are
Yeah,
so
even
many
one of
companies.
the
So what made
what's
me
this
land
other
on
brand we've been
what
seeing.
made me land on the 4.3 kilowatt, because
Mm.
initially I was talking of three, but then I saw motorbikes with 3 kilowatt. They're very good, but they are somehow limited to urban areas, because I saw the guy with a 3 kilowatt motorbike doing uphill. It ended up stopping.
Mhm.
And we have here in Kitengela the Eco Boda, they are very good. Their bikes are fantastic, but they are running a 3 kilowatt motor. Uh, in Kitengela, they are there. Fortunately, Kitengela, there's no hill, there's no uphill, so they are doing well. But in here in Athi River, there's only one section, a very small section, where I'm told those motorbikes really struggle. And I'm guessing if the
Mm.
guy with an eco board if he's to move from uh, at River to Mlolongo, there's a certain accent there. I'm suspecting he may
Mhm.
have issue. So 4.3 kilowatts, you're good. 200 nm torque, you're good. And this is simply for okay. These bikes are for short distance. These bikes are for short distance,
Mm.
and our main thinking is this: once we've gone past the the tuk-tuks, the three-wheelers, the
Mhm.
next step we'll switch from electric to diesel electric hybrids, because with the electrics we believe in battery swap. We at our team we really don't believe in stopping your vehicle and plugging it somewhere. Not really our style. So that's why the
Yeah.
motorbikes and the tuk-tuks, the idea of the tuk-tuk we have will have a battery swap. Because look at it. Let's say you are staying in Donholm, and then they tell you that the nearest charge center is in Buruburu, and you are staying in Donholm in a flat. Let's say in Donholm we have 80 people who have Tesla. You have 80 Teslas. Can you imagine
Mhm.
the inconvenience of trying to? There'll be a very long line of Teslas waiting to charge.
Yeah, it's not practical. I mean,
It doesn't
battery
make. You see,
swap
we are
seems
not.
to be the
We
more,
are, we should
particularly if you're
avoid,
doing it commercially. If you're
we should
doing it
avoid
as a sort of,
we should
uh,
avoid some of these copy paste ideas. I think Sharif Mustafa can back me up. Majority of homes in US are standalone homes. A good number of people have standalone homes.
yes,
You can drive
yes.
in, plug in, or do whatever you want. But majority of us in Athi River, we stay in flats. Or in all over
Mm,
Kenya, major urban area is flats. Now
mm,
you find like in my place, we have at my basement, we have at the ground floor, we have 6 vehicles across. There's a certain piece of land has 10 vehicles. Now imagine if we have 16 vehicles which require plug-in charging. Where are you going to? How do you go about it? Because I've seen with the Teslas, they normally have charging points. It's actually like a piece of land with charging points. Where are you going to get such a piece of land in Nairobi? So that's why our thinking is that once we've gone past the three-wheeler tuk-tuks, we go to the diesel electric hybrids. And
mhm.
then to further push on the agenda of economical and clean engines, we'll go to what we call alco-electric hybrids. Alco-electric hybrids are what you
Mm,
call methanol-powered engines, which are in hybrid form. Unfortunately, Scania developed them for okay, it's not a I call it fortunately. Scania developed them 14 years ago. So the technology is there. And if you look at the trend, this company, Maersk shipping line, they are now thinking of replacing their engines with methanol powered engines. Cheaper and it's cleaner. And we saw, I think, in Nairobi, people trying out methanol in their motorbikes. And in Kenya, methanol is 70 shillings per liter. So you see, when you need to uh, talk of years from now, what is your plan? So you already know after the electric motorbike and the electric tuk-tuk, which is battery swap, next is diesel electric. Then what next? After diesel electric, we'll go to alcohol electric. These are methanol electric. Then from there, we are talking of there's something called heat cell. Heat cell technology. These are a device. The heat cells are existing, but in very huge form. They are used in factories. This is a device that when you expose it to heat, it generates electricity. So I'm looking at a situation whereby this device will be on the downstream end of the cooling system. So when the cooling system takes away heat from the engine, it dumps it on the heat cell. Then the heat cell generates electricity to the lithium battery. In a short time, the battery is full and you just do a swap. So it's about simply optimizing things. The aspect of going full electric on big vehicles, we find it a bit tricky on our end, especially our infrastructure. Because let's say, um, if you are to approach a big company like, say, Coca Cola, you can talk. But if you, Andrew, are an entrepreneur, you have bought one truck, tutakusaidia vipi? So it's all about tailor making a solution. You tailor make a solution to go hand in hand with your problem, as opposed to the aspect of copy pasting things, like they are doing the matatu sector, which is okay about running electric matatus, but the headache the matatu sector is and rowdy youth, the rowdy crew. The problem is not okay. Yes, the issue of high fuel cost, that compounds everything. In fact, when I was going to Eastlands, those electrics matatu don't charge less. Everyone is charging 50. So, I don't know what the hula baloo is all about. The issue for the matatu sector, let's have just vehicles which are clean, they are orderly, no eardrum busting music and weird characters. Somebody has been chewing leaves from since 5 in the morning, and it's the same bunch of leaves. The cheek is bulging. Guy looks funny, looks disheveled, and that is what we want to sort out in the matatu industry. So I'm all about just creating a solution that is tailor made to your problems. We really like copy pasting. We take pride in, me, I drive electric. Okay, sawa. So far, which manufacturing entity can say that we now are offering products at affordable prices because our transport system is running electric? Have you heard of anything like that?
Mm.
Hmm. We are running on excitement bars, like the bars of electric. But if you sit down and you look at what you call the problem solving efficiency, so by how much has the commodity prices gone down now that we are transporting by electric and not diesel?
Yeah, that's true. And it's I don't know. It was the same thing, when you think of when we were hosting that climate change. The president came in with that tiny car of his
Wuling.
manufactured in China.
It's Wuling.
Um,
It's called
it's a
Wuling,
Wuling, eh?
the best selling electric car in China.
Ah,
Hmm.
yeah. So he came in, and then the other day, somebody actually took a picture of him. I think with his gazlas going to
Yes,
some church
back
ceremony. It
to
was actually
business.
last week Sunday.
Back to
So
business.
you know, and this is where at least where you may want our universities to get involved, because as you say, we do a lot of copy pasting. We are not coming up with our own solutions that are specific to our own problems. So yes, now we are contending with high fuel prices. How do we address this problem? The other problem that somebody could say is a climate change issue. How do we address it? Are we putting those boys and girls in our universities to work? Are we putting the professionals, expertise like yourself, to look at our problem and come up with unique solutions? I like that approach that you had, sort of the roadmap to e-mobility or to the green economy. Maybe you might term it as such. And it's got phases. Part of it is converting our vehicles to be hybrid. And it's not going to just be a blanket conversion of all kind of vehicles.
No, no,
We
no.
have
It's going
identified
to be. It is
key
going to be
sectors.
industry based. It is going
Correct.
to be
So
industry based. For example, we look at which are what are the daily consumables. The daily consumables are unga, for the ugali, wheat, milk, sugar. And then we are not targeting factories. We are targeting distribution centers. These products are not distributed from the factory. They are distributed from the distribution centers. So, and by the way, if we find that the circuit means distance covered from the distribution center to the customer in the back. If the circuit distance is short enough, you can do full electric. Why not?
Exactly.
Huh.
And it's really looking at the problem from that perspective. These are our key sectors. I mean, if our biggest, they say that the category of vehicles actually that emit the most to the environment are trucks.
Yeah,
Just imagine if you tackle that bit, and actually, I think it's a very huge percentage
yeah.
from I think a conversation I picked up on. So imagine if you just tackle that, how much you'll have. It's an easy way to tackle that problem, and it will have a very dramatic impact.
Yeah,
So
it's all about, I think the word is cascade effect.
mm,
If it is a vehicle that is moving from a factory to a distribution center, that factory may be a bit far, you make it hybrid. Now, a distributor is somehow localized, is given a certain area. We
yeah,
map the distance, we know, okay, worst case scenario, this is the total mileage this vehicle will cover. If the total mileage, the circuit distance is 250 kilometers, give me a vehicle of 500 kilometers full range, and you are covered. Now, then we target, you're talking trucks, these are small trucks, then medium, then we bring in the policy of distance covered. If the distance covered by a truck, now we're talking about the prime mover, is above 300 kilometers, load it on a train. Mombasa, Nairobi, load it on a train. Nairobi, Kisumu, load it on a train. Nairobi, Eldoret, Malaba, load it on a train. Plain and simple. Because the locomotive, as much as is a diesel consumer, it's a series hybrid, it is more efficient than a truck which will starting, stopping, traffic jam and whatnot. And now, when that truck is loaded on the train, okay, he'll pay something to the train people, but look at this: wear and tear on the tires, springs, bushes, wear and tear on the engine itself, state of fatigue for the driver, because these people, I'm told, they drive, then they have to stop somewhere to rest, lodging, nini, mahali pa kulala and whatnot. But if he's seated on the truck and is sleeping there on the wheel, from Mombasa to, let's say, on an SGR, 6 hours, is in Nairobi, can he not drive his vehicle? Let's say he's going to Malaba, can even transfer from SGR to MGR. So that,
yeah, it's interesting, and I probably want us to look at it more in a general sense and not specifically on this issue. But we do have a number of these kind of problems, and normally you find we are not utilizing our mental capacities or our intellectual capacities, whichever they might be, and the resources are there. I mean, you're a perfect example of what you're trying to tackle on the e-mobility as pertains motorcycles and the utility they'll provide either from a commute perspective or from using it to deliver items. Why is it? And maybe it could be on this aspect of climate change. It could be what else? On our economy. It could be. I was just listening to someone just now who was explaining the reason why the government has taken the particular stance it's taken with regards to the dollar and exchange rate. So apparently, the argument is the previous administration and administrations have, in a sense, been propping up the shilling. But the current administration decided to leave it to the free market elements to determine what's the appropriate exchange rate between the shilling and the dollar. I mean, in essence, what it has done, it has weakened our our currency, And he said, okay, there's actually a positive towards that, because for the people that are coming in to invest, they get more money for their buck because they come in with mostly dollars and come in to invest in a Kenya shilling environment. And that's true. Even those that are importing, let's say even those that are doing, is it no,
Export.
export business are having it good, because if, let's say if it's the coffee, we'll price it in Kenya shillings, but we'll get paid in dollars and then do the conversion once we are paid. So the export guys are benefiting. But what percentage is that? And what's the impact to the entire economy?
And what are they exporting?
Exactly. We are doing more
Are you
imports than
You're
exports.
talking of these people who are exporting raw coffee. Then it comes up as dormants.
Exactly. Nestle.
My friend.
Yeah. So
You're not doing anything.
that's why I've actually been arguing against some of this so-called stance that the government has been taking. I remember the initial one was when people were sort of championing the subsidies, and they said the subsidies, particularly as it pertains to oil. You know, I don't know much about economics and the technicalities of it, but for me, I thought the subsidies applied particularly on fuel were to the benefit of the wider economy, and not looking at it purely on a subsidy basis on one item, or rather commodity, but look at it with regards to the impact. I mean, the other day I was just reading about, with these recent fuel increases, what has happened is people now are consuming less. There's even a story
The
I was
revenues
reading.
have gone down.
Yes, the revenues have gone down, even on taxes.
There's a very nice, okay, they look nice from my balcony. Some yellow colored apartments. Okay, somebody was riding there, and he thought it was a holiday because so many vehicles were parked. Then after some banter, the askers said, no, people have used matatus, they can't fuel their cars.
And it was during the week.
So is there a holiday? Why is the parking lot so full?
Yes.
Matatu ban. So it has just turned out. It's like taxation. Why don't you reduce taxation so that
Exactly.
reduce taxation, make it easier? In fact, getting a permit should be free. Then you get tax at a lower rate. Then you have
Right.
more business. They're like the
Right.
Chinese model, the Chinese business model. Less profit per unit sell, but mega sales. That
Volumes.
is
Yeah.
why today Yutong is the biggest bus manufacturer in the world. They have overtaken Scania. They want that one bus you buy.
And that's my point of view. And maybe because I'm looking at it from a layman perspective. And I guess this is probably the danger of sometimes the experts.
Head knowledge.
Yes, they have that head knowledge.
With the equations and whatnot. And
exactly.
It reminds me of it reminds me of this guy, a very old guy in India. He was selling pancakes. He was doing well. He sold it for years, like decades, to a point where he managed to get money to educate his son. His son went to Harvard. So son comes to Harvard from Harvard with an MBA. Then that guy sits with his dad. They start churning the numbers. You see what this guy used to do? He used to fry the pancakes the whole day. Then after selling them, the oil that remains, he would to pour it away, then put fresh oil. So this guy said, listen, we can do, he ran some equations. See, if you recycle 10% of the oil, you can now be reducing your cost of operation and some major economic mumbo jumbo there. The old man said, okay, let's do it. 10% recycle.
Yeah.
The customers buy the pancakes, they eat, Then they have some sort of a quizzical expression like, "What have you done?" Just okay, sir.
The
Tuendelee.
taste.
Okay, they were like, okay, you have that grudging. Maybe the guy has been making pancakes for so long. Maybe there's something wrong with your tongue. Okay, sir,
Mm,
kuna shida. So
mm,
day one, lots of money at 10% reduction in cost. So the guy said, yes, the son with his graph. You see now, these are projections. If you notch it up to 20% recycled, we are now looking, you are going up and up. Okay, sir, like 20%, 20 cars. These guys, they eat pancakes like, hi, hizi ni za kawaida.
mm,
Okay, sawa. Again, they have that thing of reputation at the back of the mind. Okay, labda tu leo ameamka vibaya, no problem. The son looks at the day's figure, wonderful, 20% cost reduction. Now let's recycle 30% of the fuel. Twende kazi, skuma kabisa. Now the customer says, hey, mzee, we are buying it, but you need to do something about it. Huh? Let's do something. Tafadhali, hii pancakes, we have a problem. Tengeza hii kitu. The son is there listening, saying, these are just stories from disgruntled people. These are your competitors who are just destroying the data. Weka 40% recycling. Koroga asilimia 40.
mhm,
Man, these guys were taking one bite and say, nirudishie pesa yangu.
mm.
Give me back my money. So the day the dad comes back, tell the son, we didn't make a single cell.
With all your
Not
MBA
only,
from
not
Harvard.
only, not only did I not sell anything, these guys are pissed off with me.
So it's gonna lose its clients.
So all these 10% savings, 20, you are at 40% saving, it has converted to zero sales. You can't balance 40% saving with that means all the pancakes that you left the kitchen with zote zimerudi.
Mhm.
All those savings you've made, they have just been negated, they have been nullified. So this guy has to go again now, buy fresh oil, then engage in a door-to-door campaign of wooing these people back. We're giving you like a 1 day free samples to tell you that the pancakes are back to normal. We have identified the areas where we've gone wrong. And the area where they had gone wrong is that son with an MBA from Harvard. Huyo tumefukuza yeye kabisa. Don't ever come back with your bloody Harvard shit here. Kwenda kabisa. We see you here next time. Tutakufungulia ile umbwa kali kabisa.
Exactly.
We'll send you away. We'll even shoot you in the kneecap so that you don't have the strength to come back here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a bit unfortunate that people are sitting at high levels. We normally see them on the TV with gray hair and suits, and they're talking very heavy words. And at my level, the best I can look at is I'm at the downstream. So what is happening? Hiyo kizungu
You
mingi
know,
naongea, mbona vitu zinaenda juu?
I've been asking myself also, why don't many of these so-called economists
Hmm.
um, never build businesses of their own? I mean, the
Yeah,
best they will do is they'll become consultants, maybe
consultants.
lecture at a school.
Hmm.
Uh, and we know what consultants are, The other day, I remember reading a principle of, whenever you come across a word,
Hmm.
maybe that you don't understand,
Hmm.
look up its meaning.
Yeah.
And I said, let me look up the meaning of
Hmm.
economy. And
Hmm.
let me even just share this.
Hmm.
eh. Let's look at, it seems very basic.
Hmm.
But I think so this is from Oxford. So economy means the state of a country, region in terms of production and
And
consumption
consumption
of
of goods
goods and
and services
services and the
and services.
supply of money.
Hmm.
So there is production, what is bringing in the income, and there is consumption, what you're spending or expending, and then there's money aspect. I even think maybe the government should take an experiment and hire maybe a business person on that role and kick out the David Ndees and
Look at this.
the other day I
The,
was even commenting saying this guy called David D, I think he spends more time tweeting than working. Because, and I even looked at his Twitter account, he's got like 1 million followers.
Yeah.
That's a red flag. That's a red flag. For
Is he an
somebody of this
influencer?
structure. That's correct. I mean, has any of those ideas and thoughts of his really materialized to anything? I would rather put maybe somebody who has proven he's built a business or businesses and he's been able to grow them. So he understands the concept of building, he understands the concept of producing, he understands the process of selling, he understands the process of distribution, he understands the process of branding, he understands these elements. So all he needs is now to scale up that thinking now to a country level. And he can be able to, I mean, we come up with these ideas and we've never sat in an economy class. I mean, apart from Economy 101 that we all
101,
did
which
in
I don't know.
university.
Yeah, I think it was Economy 101. Yeah.
We did Economy 101, yeah. But beyond that, I mean, some things are just so
You see,
black
again,
and white.
this definition here, let me read it. The state of a country or region in terms of production and consumption of goods and services and supply of money. Now, already, as far as our country is concerned, we are doing a lot of consumption than production.
Exactly.
So already our equation is as lopsided as a broken high heel shoe. Yeah. What are we producing? In fact, there was a time we were importing eggs and toothpicks. I found it very strange. And
Exactly.
I think, I don't know if I'm okay. This is something I shared with someone. This guy used to be my boss. Not exactly my boss. He was a director in the company I used to work for, and we were somehow close. And I asked him, look, if let's say which sector? Beverage sector. They normally import what we call white sugar. The sugar for making sodas is not produced locally; it's imported. It's called industrial sugar.
I remember
So,
you telling me that story, yeah. Or
and I've
rather,
really tried to
made
understand what
reference
this
to that.
industrial sugar is.
What is it made of? Is it something we
And
can't do?
they said it is sugar that is refined. Same. Okay, I don't want to blow my head on that. Sawa, hakuna shida. Okay, in the business of that refined sugar, if all the beverage companies in Kenya formed an umbrella whereby they'll be importing their materials in bulk, will there be a significant discount so that the price becomes fair? They all said, but that is common sense. That is common sense. It will be automatic the moment you have like 10 beverage companies coming together and say, these are the list of materials we import in this period of time, and they do bulk and you do split at source, whereby you pay one round figure, then at the source kila mtu anachukua yake, the price will go down significantly low. So that is common sense. You don't even need a PhD in, I don't know what you wanasomeaga linguistics or whatever it is they learn there. That is normal. So I'm asking, this is where people like Kenya Association of Manufacturers should be coming in, saying, okay, listen, we may not be able to control the price, but we may not be able to control the shelf price, but we can control the price at which we are buying it. We can control how much you are paying for it. So if you have 15 companies importing a certain commodity, they combine their figures and say, okay, hii bulk discount inakuja ngapi? You have saved. In fact, you have even saved on, you can say, transport it as bulk, then we split maybe at the port, or we have a common warehouse. That's where the split occurs. Because it's cheaper than inakuja na meli hii, huyu pia amekuja na huku, huyu sijui ameamua kuleta na ndege. We just put them bulk in one transport. In fact, should be purchase and transportation plus import na kila kitu, because rather than paying import duty for various entities, you can do import duty for one, whereby now KEMSA has some sort of import department that does handles imports per industry. Unaona, za we are thinking of KEMSA having an import department that does imports per industry. Sugar, hii ndio group yenu, this is your bulk for the year. Whatever, this is the bulk for the year. Motor vehicle, these are the spare parts you import per year. Hii ndio bulk. These are the discussions we should be having.
Again, it's going back to that idea of, sort of homegrown solutions to our own unique problems. Maybe it might find a fit in other contexts that probably have similar issues like us. If it's a traffic issue, we should come up with our own solutions. If it is this or that. The other day, I think there's the upcoming visit of this new king, the King of England or UK. Is set to come to Kenya. And I saw there was the president went to inspect the Uhuru Gardens National Museum. And that really, I got interested in that, and I said, next time I'm in Kenya, I need to come visit that museum, because I've seen the images around it and they are really neat. And that was just the time I think it was officially launched last year, but it was not fully complete. I think now probably they must be done. Maybe if anything now is those cleanup aspects that are being done in preparation for the visit. But the funny thing was, I wanted to see how do I buy tickets to visit the place. One, there's no website for that museum.
There's no website.
Two, there's no website. There's no website. I searched for it. They have a Facebook page. The Facebook page does have a website link, but the website is dead. It doesn't load up anything.
And is there somebody behind the social media, like a website messenger? Is there
nothing? I mean, I'm lost. So I realized, people now use eCitizen. So I go to eCitizen, yes, I see you can be able to buy a ticket from there. But then it takes me through this whole process. I need to sign in, I need to show. So already, because I'm eCitizen, I have an account, that was fine. For a visitor, and I know there's a friend who was in Kenya actually sometime this year. I even wonder how she was able to visit the National Museum, the one on Museum Hill. But I remember you've seen those images of tourists stuck, lining up in many of these, places of interest to visit, and it's because somebody is trying to sign them up on eCitizen so they can make payment. And before, the process was so easy and quick. Now, one, there's no website. Two, there's no process of how somebody can book a ticket. What is it? I mean, immediately I can see the issues. Is it that the government is this big, humongous organization that things
speechless?
Cracks? Because
totally speechless.
Na kuna mtu alilipo hiyo website, akishakula hiyo pesa na website hakuna. Hata kama these guys want to be able to tie everything into eCitizen, I'm sure somebody in government should be able to inform at the very basic around.
eCitizen is for government services. Kwani kuenda museum is a government service?
Because it's all managed by government, you're paying the government. But either way, even if you want to channel the money into one pot, there must be a way to do it, and which is much easier and doesn't end up frustrating somebody.
So
somebody is motivated to come and visit. But with all this, if you have to jump all these hoops,
So that
Make
means
the process easier.
if I want to buy, if I want to board a train, I have to be part of e-citizen P. What is the thinking behind it? So museum service is just it's like a recreational center.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's recreation.
And even
You want
talking of the SGR, somebody the other day, again, I saw it on social media. Somebody was complaining about that whole process. I think they had
to,
booked a ticket, they looked to change it,
uh,
or somebody was looking to cancel it. Again, you're just getting
uh,
frustrated. They're even
e-citizen.
penalizing you. Now, this is on the SGR. SGR is on a different platform. But either way, it's still a government service in partnership with the Chinese. Um, they're just complicating the whole process in terms of
You see,
cancellation,
I
change
used
of
to
seat,
travel.
change of.
I used to travel when we were small with the old train, the Mombasa, Nairobi, Nairobi, Kisumu. There were no such hoops.
You
Yeah,
just go straight.
okay. What happens? There was you just run. They'll just was there a scanner? There were not. Don't even because the last time I used it was in 1995. Can remember very well. There was no scanner. What you do, you just
Mhm,
show. Yeah, there were two types of tickets. There was if you've booked your train, because there was no internet at that time. You go to the train station like a week or a month or whatever, buy the tickets. On the day of the travel, you show your ticket, you get in. Now, if you are wale watu wa kusindikiza, there's a ticket for you. There's a ticket
mhm.
for you to access the platform. You
Yeah.
pay, unaingia platform just to wave bye bye or whatnot. And pia it was not all that strict.
Mm,
Shaun. So
mm.
hii wameleta hope. Is it because of terrorism or what?
Hata sielewi. This is
Because,
it's just ridiculous, bro.
because the train is the same. Ni sema tu ile ni inaenda kwa SGR na was running on meter gauge. In fact, I am part of a Facebook group that group has a lot of people with knowledge on railways, and I was posing
Mm,
some questions. And I was asking if you sort of just lift that MGR and put a wider sleeper. So yes, it will be SGR, but the problem is that like the Mombasa Nairobi line has a lot of
mm,
curves. So I
mhm.
asked, okay, can we just put ones which are straight? Yes, you can, but someone said it will be very expensive. And I asked, will it be more expensive than 350
And then
billion
the other
shillings?
one. Yes,
It would be
exactly.
more, itafika 350. Ah, no, it will itafika. Then I went to the locomotives. Said, is it easy to change? Sema, it's not that it is easy to change. It is game shot. You see, we have those wheels, they are called bogies. That set of
Mm,
wheels. So you get
okay.
rid of that wheels, you get a wheel for 1.54 meter. Yani unainua afu una replace and it is becoming an SGR.
Oh, so you just change the wheel itself.
Yeah. Those wheels that were from that
Mm,
width of a length width of 1 meter to 1.54. Then
mm,
kuinua so you could actually change the entire Kenya Railways to SGR.
mm. Or even if you had to say, let's buy new locomotives, it would be way still cheaper than the parallel line we had to lay. But that's what under the bridge. Either way, I just don't understand
That's why
the idea of
somebody,
government trying
someone
to
said, someone said,
really issues that should benefit it. Yeah, go
someone
ahead.
said, we take it for granted, but be very careful over the people we vote for. You know, during these elections, in fact, historically, they are normally the main horses. All right. Then there'll be a very unknown character there vying for presidency, and he talks a lot of sense, but his name is not known.
Yeah,
I remember there used to be
yeah.
this character called Dr. Chibule Watsuma. Remember him?
Mhm.
He was always vying. Yuko tu anakuja tu, he's always trying to vie.
I don't remember.
And
Mhm.
whenever you hear him talk, Sema, these are the ideas.
quality.
But people will laugh at him because they'll say, even if you don't know who Chibule Watsuma is, you like, Chibule who? But when you hear him talk, you
Sober,
tell this
sober.
guy is making sense. This guy called Professor, he was called Ekuru what or whatever. He has a funny name.
Kuro Okot. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Turkana guy.
yeah. I used to hear him talk some of this. This makes sense.
Oh, that's a sober dude. That's sober
Huh?
dude.
This guy is making sense. But now, this is something I've mentioned before. The Kenya political engine runs on puniness. The moment we become sober, that lack of sobriety is the fuel for the Kenya political engine. You have to ensure that fuel is there so that you can win people over with slogans like sijui tialala and sijui nini and hustler, tuko pamoja, serikali ya mama mboga. If you are just to be sober, mama mboga anaweza run serikali gani? When someone tells you serikali ya mama mboga, hebu chanua vizuri, what do you mean serikali ya mama mboga? Ati serikali ya bodaboda. Where did the bodaboda run? Which government? Can even give him account? So these are the things we are not questioning these issues. And when you question them, you are going to be shouted down. So we're at a point where this is the source of fuel for the political engine. And the best way around it is don't fight it, you create your own identity. Create your own identity and let it be seen to be working. This Andrew Mutua, he has his own weird way of doing things, but you go to his business, for some reason he's making profits, but his prices are 40% cheaper.
Yeah.
Why? Huh? Then people start raising questions, how? Kwa nini bei ya huyu jamaa iko chini? Then slowly by slowly, it may take decades, but people start questioning things, because right now people are not questioning anything, because we're just following that same train that around here we are voting like this to punish so and so.
Mtuangu.
Yeah,
You're bringing in my people. You know, yeah, politics is just it's just another game, man. We can't understand it. And partly, I don't think it's purely a Kenyan issue. I think politics, if they are structured as they are in Kenya, it will mirror the same thing where you find. I don't think we are gravitated to logic at that point in time. We are driven by something else. It's more of emotion. It's more of tribal. It's more of is my guy. It's more of someone I know. So it's all this. It's all this, and don't think any of that is perpetuated by people who are not educated. It's educated. It will be the professors and all. It's people who, out there, they look like upstanding people, but when politics come in, they throw away that kind of thinking. So it's yeah, I think it's just a waste of our brain cells to try and unearth the reasons behind it.
It's like
are beyond our control. So you just rather
circumvent, just find a way of
back to what you can control.
Yeah, you just
and see how you can
it's like you are trying to order. It's like you are trying to create order in a rubbish dump. How can you can't be in a rubbish dump? You are deep in a rubbish dump, and then you are trying to do taekwondo with the cockroach. The cockroach is in its element.
It is definitely.
The cockroach hapa ni nyumbani bwana. I just visual more cockroaches come in. Angalia ulikuwa unasemaje sasa? So best way is to sort of just you can rig the system to your way, but most of it you may try to circumvent it. Like there's this guy, I forget his name. He's in the US. He's a very old man in his 70s. He has a factory for making drinks. That guy, soft drinks. This guy, his prices, he's using, we are in 2023. He's operating with 2015 prices. 2015 or 2016 or 2017 prices.
Yes.
Yeah. Because what he says is this. I'm sitting at the helm of my business with a group of executives who are learned. They're supposed to be learned. So if I'm in a situation whereby whenever there's an increment in cost or there's a certain directive, I automatically push everything to the consumer, then why do I need these executives for? If
Exactly.
whatever, if a small change imetokea, it is you are like a pipe. Ikitokea sukuma, oh, due to cost, sijui nini, the customer has to shoulder it, then what are you doing there? So they said they have their methods, they have their means, they are aware of their way of system optimization, such that they have retained their prices for over, I think, half of a decade, if I'm not wrong. I'll try to find out. Half of a decade. It's so outstanding that someone brought him on, shared his video on YouTube. I forget the name of. They have just retained their prices for, I think they have been stagnant for 5 years.
No change.
No change. Whenever there's a directive that will lead to a cost increment, we rig our system to be just more efficient. Simple as that. We rig our system to be more efficient. Like in automotives, like in Formula One. In Formula One before, they used to refuel. Now they don't refuel. They don't refuel, and they run. The vehicles, they have the hybrids. They are hybrids and they run the vehicles, no problem. Only that the driving is it's not aggressive as before, but races are finishing. They run to the end of the race without refueling. When the FIA banned refueling,
what they do at the pit stop is just change of the wheels. That's it.
yes, change of the wheels, and if there's a damage on the front wing, they change the front wing. But there's no refueling. Refueling ended in 2009. 209. 209 or
10 years back.
If I'm not wrong. 209, I think. I'll have to check. But they no longer refuel. So what happens? They have what we call track data, the rest track data. So the engineers will work out how much fuel we'll need. So you have to do a balance. Like you should not be having. You see, if you have excess fuel, the vehicle is heavy.
Yes.
So you can't rest very
to
much.
have it later, yeah.
So you have to have a balance of so that you have enough fuel for your driver to be competitive, and at the end of the race, you should have at least 1 liter. The FIA should be able to withdraw 1 liter of fuel from your car for analysis. So it's just a bit of mathematics. Because now imagine if the Formula One teams were like Kenyan businesses, they would say, okay, since you are saying you are not refueling, the rest will be cut in half. They didn't do that. Simesema kuna kuongeza mafuta, out of average 58 laps will be doing 24 or 30. But they are doing the same 58, 60 based on the length of the lap. And they are doing from end to end because the vehicles are now hybrids. And you can change the mode, how much of the battery power you're deploying. There are times when they'll tell in Formula there's something called lift and coast. Lift and coast is whereby the driver, when approaching the corner, will release his foot off the accelerator for a while for the vehicle to roll. When the vehicle is rolling, it's charging the battery and you're saving fuel. So they'll tell you lift and coast so that towards the end of the race, we've reserved extra fuel for aggressive driving. So why can the businessman do that? It's just running, looking at your system, going to the plant supplier. Can you get me a plant that is a bit cheaper to run while maintaining my product quality? So this guy is running with the products 5 years ago. Bei change, but this other group of people with the so-called Harvards and whatnot, any increment imeenda like the matatu people. Bei kipanda saa sita usiku, when you wake up in the morning, even if that matatu was filled by fuel at 4 in the evening, and the fuel is changing at midnight, you wake up to the prices of midnight and you're like, kwani mafuta yenu mliweka saa sita usiku? Mafuta si mliweka.
That's the thing, eh? You know, because I remember when they used to do those fuel prices. There was even a time. Okay, now that they have to stick to that 15th cycle, 15th of every month to do the changeover. I remember there was a time, if they happen to have reduced the cost, and then if they happen to have had an increase, and then down the line there's a reduction. There are times they would argue and say, the mafuta we have, we still bought it at this price, so we'll have to finish the stock that we have, and then we'll apply the new price on that new stock. So they don't apply the reduction immediately; they delay it. I remember there used to be that game that they used to play.
But when it comes to increment,
but when it's in increment, even if you had gotten it at a lower price, immediately they want to increase it. Anyway, these are greedy motherfuckers, bro. You can't. And maybe I wouldn't really
that is why,
because
that is
anyone
why
who's looking at a price increase will always. I mean, if I was in that business, I would also probably do the same thing.
That is why you have an opportunity to run your business differently. You have an opportunity to start up. You can say, listen, for this month you are running at normal fare, because bado tuko na stock ya mafuta tulinunua kitambo. You look stupid, but there are going to be a bunch of customers who will say, this is the vehicle we are using. So it's about you to make the decision. You don't just because other companies are doing that, you also do the same. No, like in transportation, who has ever approached a dealer and said, this price fuel is too much? Can you give me at least one hybrid bus we test? We see if we can manage the fuel. I cannot control the price of fuel, but I can control how much of the fuel I'm consuming.
Yeah, I think we need to start seeing more of this logistics.
Even when it comes to what we call operations, Scania tells you very clearly that there's what we call free kilometer driving. That whenever you are going downhill, just release the accelerator.
That's it, and it will not be consuming any fuel.
The fuel consumption will drop very low. But you are a driver, chini twende kanyaga kabisa. So there's no review of operation, because some of these, if some of these operations were reviewed, like Scania, they'll tell you optimum RPM range is 10 to 15 RPM. Our fleet managers looking at this data at what is the average RPM of our vehicles. The Scania, they'll tell you they have power, it's called what do you call it? Performance mode. There's economy mode, normal mode, and high power mode. Is any fleet manager telling me, going to Scania and say, listen, my bus operates between this route and this route, this is the terrain. Can I run it on economy mode? Yes, they'll advise you. So are there such discussions to manage the fuel? So we are not really, are we really, because we never say data is unbeatable. Are we looking at the data?
Yeah.
I
mean, you saw even that what it has brought in mind is the solution we were looking at when we were talking of with regards to electric vehicles. Do you do the battery swapping? Do you do the plugins? And then there was that new invention. I think it's either Switzerland or Sweden, one of those Scandinavian countries that had developed a way that it can be charging while it's being driven. That it releases.
That's it's called a pantograph.
Yes.
In UK, in Sweden, it's in German. They're called pantograph trucks. And in parts of UK, they are called trolley. They're called a trolley bus. A trolley bus has power tethered from the power line.
Tethered from, yes. So now instead of the overhead, they have it right on the ground. And
that is on the parking.
No,
on
no,
the
no.
parking.
Driving. Have you not
Oh
seen that
yeah,
one?
it was those are Scania trucks.
No,
Scania
there was
trucks with a
a
dedicated,
Tesla.
with a
There was a
dedicated,
Tesla.
with a
There was a
dedicated.
Tesla charging that was being charged on the ground.
Hmm. The one I know that is charging on the ground is on a parking lot, whereby you
No,
park
no, no.
it.
It was moving.
uh,
You have not seen that one.
the one that I know is moving uses it has a pentagraph on top, overhead line. Those are trucks. On the ground is something on the park. Is like induction. You know those phones that use induction
It is
charging.
an induction. It is some kind of induction, but
You
it's like a thingy, that metallic thing that drops,
hmm,
and then it has to drive along a certain line. So that line is electrified.
hmm. So
Let
it
me
is
see.
they're doing it like a train now.
Yeah, like a
Because
train.
that is how electric trains operate.
Yeah, let me share with you this. I thought I'd share
It's a,
this one.
it's a YouTube video.
It's a YouTube video.
All right. Oh, these are not I had not
Plants
seen.
plugging in. Could this be the future for electric vehicles? In the town of Lund in southern Sweden, I'm being taken for a spin along Evolution Road.
So you can see these are Tesla.
This
Yeah.
looks
See the-
like
that
a
line.
regular electric
Yeah,
vehicle,
yeah.
but
It's
underneath
electrified.
there's something different. There's a pickup that means it makes contact with electrified rail and can charge up.
It's like for a train we'll
The
call it
road
a
consists of
pentagraph.
short segments that actually switch
it's
on
called
power
what?
under the vehicle. The power is following the vehicle, and we have more than 3 sliding contacts, so we get a steady current
Sliding contacts.
from the
So you
road.
see this one. So then
Yeah.
The technology
Now
here
compare
is
that one.
wireless. It's called
Now-
conductive charging.
conductive
Imagine
charge.
a scale electrics.
Yeah, go on.
Do we even have roads in the first place? You know, when you are developing a solution for a country, you have to look at your condition first.
Yeah, this one for Africa would be a challenge, no doubt.
Not a challenge, it will be a conundrum. It's a complete and one, we don't have roads. And if the roads are there, there's no drainage. So imagine that section being completely and the problem is some of our floods are not due to flooding, actually, it's due to drainage which is choked. So some of these solutions is not really, I will not want to say that they work in some countries. No, they work in countries where people have a certain attitude. Just
And
attitude.
order.
And order,
Yeah.
yes. Order is related to attitude.
Mm.
But when you are applying it somewhere and you're saying you are targeting, let's say, a manufacturing belt, there's a group of factories in that area, so you want the trucks to be. And that place, the fleet manager or the procurement manager is getting money per liter of diesel consumed. Si atatuma watu kuibomoa usiku. So it is attitude. So from our end, the best way is to have what we call standalone solution, something that works in your organization and makes your organization stand out in some way. Top end services, top end products, but your prices are surprisingly reasonable, not low. You know, low prices now, that is suspicious. Why your price is low? You're not making profits. But the prices are so reasonable that people say, hey, let's find out what this guy is doing. So we cannot adjust people's attitudes, but we can create a situation whereby people look at us differently.
Yeah, it's sort of influencing. You're influencing
Yeah.
a change in the
Yes,
society.
they know that when they go
That
to
change.
Andrew Mutua Enterprises, you are getting 5-star services at 3-star prices. So people say, Okay. Then automatically other business will try to say able to copy Ujama slowly by change your cars. But if you use the activism route, utachoka akili. Sasa people will say huyu jamaa anapewa pesa na wazungu bwana, situsumbue akili.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is it. Just you do your thing. Focus on yourself. Don't go with the herd. Following the herd, maybe that herd is going to the slaughterhouse. No,
Yeah.
naenda to hii group, kumbe huko mbele ni kichinjio. By the time you realize you're in a slaughterhouse, the gate behind you is locked. Hakuna kurudi nyuma, ushaingia kuchinjwa tayari. So is an opportunity. Yes, there's no problem looking at what other people are doing, but you can now tailor make. I cannot make it national, but I can tailor it to fit my particular organization. How does this organization look like? So that when people come in your premises or they look at your business, the first question will ask, kwani hii kampuni ni ya mzungu? Simple as
That's
that.
what you do.
People are like, kwani ni ya mzungu? Hapana, it's just another African. So that is just you do your thing. Avoid the activism, because you cannot talk about aspiring to fly and you are with the chickens. They look at you at flying.
Yeah.
So si kazi yetu ni kukula chakula, kunywa maji, afu December tuchinjwe. So if you tell us about flying, they look at you and say, I think Ujamaa, I think he's mad. Wow. 1 hour.
So we've done what, an hour, 8 minutes, eh? And ilikuwa tu hivyo tu.
40, FFS 40, man, 10 episodes to 50.
Man. And that one will celebrate. We'll celebrate.
We'll find a way of celebrating.
Yeah.
We'll find a way of. I don't know if
I'm planning. I'll not be. I don't plan to come home over Christmas, but it will have to be around Easter holidays, and probably I will have to plan for a longer stay, maybe a week or so.
we look for a very nice. If you can get a hotel lobby with a nice fireplace,
Yeah.
that would be magical.
Like I really like the Hilton Garden, by the way.
It looks fantastic.
Oh man, it's good. Yeah,
You can get the rates. You can get the rates.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just go there, order coffee. Maybe, I don't know if we need a room or anything, but just maybe get a good corner somewhere.
Good corner, as long as there's
order something
no feedback from surroundings. Could be good.
Yeah, I know of course it's close to the airport.
What about
hopefully we won't
the
get a lot of
balcon of Ole Sereni? Top balcon of Ole Sereni.
Oh yeah, Ole Sereni is another nice spot. Yes.
Overseeing the National Park.
Oh yes. I mean,
The
they're
only
nice spots
problem-
actually. Now that I think about it, we'll have to pick up one, by the way. Ole Sereni, what do you call it now? Elmara or something?
Elmara. The only we have to be a bit careful about now the sound capturing equipment. You should not be capturing the surroundings, because if you are talking of in a peak upepo, it may affect us.
I'll come with my equipment. It does have a denoise element where it cancels out surrounding.
Okay.
So we'll see how that will work.
It's like a noise cancellation unit.
Noise cancellation, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes actually the software that you use, like I know with the new Microsoft Teams, it's actually very good with that. Because I'm close to the airport, and for me, I can hear the planes when they're landing, and even that during that time, I can't hear the person on the other side.
Okay.
But if you ask them if they had the plane or anything, they say no, I didn't hear a thing. It's perfect. But yeah, I think we'll definitely look for a nice spot.
Yeah.
I do like that Ole Sereni suggestion.
Ole Sereni, background of National Park.
National Park
would be magical.
Oh yes.
Yeah? With the table at the balcony, sipping some Chardonnay.
Oh yes, get some nice. We could have actually lunch, some nice lunch there. I've been to their restaurant. It's pretty neat, by the way.
Yes, it is. So
okay, man.
big up to our lone wolf audience, Sharif Mustafa. Thank you very much
Yes.
for being with us. You've always been with us from the word go. Tunasema asante sana. And from Athi River, it is lights out.
From Kigali, Rwanda, see ya.